Hi everybody, it's George, aka Philly Pin Daddy, and today we're going to talk about the basics. How do you get pins? There are different kind of ways you can get pins. You can buy them, you can trade for them, you can inherit them. But we're going to show you today how to get different kinds of pins and the different kinds of pins that are out there. But before we get into that, I'm going to show you that here are my traders, and I'll explain how I got most of them. Now that you've seen that I have a pretty good amount of traders, I'm going to explain how I got some of them, most of them, and then how I got the rest of these pins. These pins in front of me are different types of pins. Some are from my actual board and some are from my trader pile. We'll start with what most people know is Shop Disney. Shop Disney has a good amount of pins. They're always going up every week. Sometimes they have limited edition pins. Sometimes they have very, very good pins. So the first one we're going to look at is this is an older pin. This is the Aristocats 50th anniversary pin. I bought this off Shop Disney. I think it was $69.99. I actually had two of them. I traded one away. Makes a pretty good trader, but it is a jumbo pin. Jumbo pins are a pain to ship, and not everybody loves jumbo pins. The next way you can get traders is you can buy them from what I call third-party sites. They are actually Disney pins. To me, one of the best third-party sites is Artland or Pulse Pins. This is from my board. This is a Hades jumbo. It's a LE50 pin. This pin was pretty expensive. It was about $99. But this is from my trader pile from the same thing. This is Maleficent from Artland. This pin right here is a LE200 pin. I think I paid like $45 for it or $50 for it. Right now, this pin has a trade value of around $150 to $180. Best way to get Artland pins is to check their website, sign up for their alerts. They do email you when they're doing a new release. Or you can follow them on Facebook or Instagram. Look for Pulse Gallery or Gallery Pulse Pins. They have really good pins. They're beautiful pins. And they are recognized as official Disney pins. In that same boat as official Disney pins, but not really made by Disney, is Pink a la Mode. They are kind of new to the pin market, but they make some really beautiful pins. This is another one from my board. This is a Hades. They did a villain series not too long ago. Very tradable pin. And this one I just got off the website. This is the Villains Enamel Pin. This is a Maleficent pin with Sleeping Beauty. Again, I believe I paid about $30 or $35 for this pin. Right now, this has a value of about $120 to $140 in the trade market. Part of that is that it's Maleficent. She's very, very collectible, and we're going to do another video on who is the most collectible Disney characters, so you can stock up on your traders. But this pin, again, I had two of them. I traded one for the Hercules, which was Megara and Hades from this same set. Follow them on Instagram. Look on their website. Usually on Thursdays, they come out with new pins and new traders, so you can always get them. Other ones are Box Lunch and Loungefly. Again, these are both from my collection. You just go on their websites. This is the Muses spinner that I picked up off of Loungefly, and this is the Muses vase that I picked up off Box Lunch. But if you want to accumulate traders, you can go to these sites and pick up these kind of pins, and you can just store them. If you're lucky enough to get them when they first come out, you can get them for $29.99, $15.99. Sometimes, like these, are a little bit higher at $29.99, but they do go up in trade value, especially characters that are highly collectible. Maleficent, Rapunzel, Hades, Marie from Aristocats, all those are highly collectible. Another way you can get pins is just to go to the parks. This is from the parks. I got this at the parks. This is just a Genie pin, but again, if it's a limited edition pin, you're lucky enough to be in the parks, you can pick them up, store them as traders. We're actually going to the parks in about 2 or 3 days. We try to get there at least twice or 3 times a year. And when I go, I have a pretty good pin budget, and I go in and I buy some of the limited edition pins, and sometimes you're lucky enough to get a really good limited edition release. If you're there on May the 4th, you can get some really good May the 4th pins, or we'll be there on July 4th. I'm hoping they have a July 4th special pin, and if they do, I'll pick up a couple. When you're at the parks, you can also have special events. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. This is from my boards, but I did manage to get this whole set, and I have a couple in my trader's pin. This is the Hades from the mystery box set. But when there's events like that, They always have special pins for the Halloween party, for the Christmas party. They had some pins for the Villains After Dark. They're pins that are exclusive just to that event, which means not everybody can get them, and they become very highly collectible, again, especially with the good characters. One thing I haven't talked about is fantasy pins. This is a fantasy pin. There are some beautiful fantasy pins out there. This is from my collection. That is obviously a Hades pin. The best way to get fantasy pins is to follow the pin creators on Instagram or Facebook. And when you look at the pins, they're not tradable in the parks, which means I cannot walk into a cast member and say, I want to trade this for something on your board, or back in the old days, your lanyard. But they are highly collectible, and you can get some really, really nice fantasy pins at a good price, and they become very collectible, and they have high trade value. So if you see a fantasy pin creator that has really nice pins, and I'll show some on the next video, I'm going to probably try to get a fantasy pin creator on one of my videos with me. You go through the process. They usually have pre-sales, which means you pay for them before they're made, but that helps fund the actual pin design and the pin creation. And then you get them, and there are some beautiful pins. Again, this is a nice pin. I've never seen a Disney pin with this scene from Hercules on it, but it was a fantasy pin, and most of them are LE50 or LE100, so they are a limited edition, so they make really good traders. Not everybody likes to trade fantasy pins. I do think some of the fantasy pins out there are beautiful, and they're actually, some of them, more collectible than some Disney pins out there. So keep an eye out for the fantasy pins. This is a pin that I actually bought a collection. You know, that's a little exorbitant to go. Not everybody can buy collections, but I bought a collection, and this pin was in here. This is a WDI mask pin. I have bought a couple collections, and that's a really nice way to accumulate a lot of pins. Just be careful when you're doing that. Get really good detailed pictures before you buy the collection, just because even if you're only spending $100 or $200 on the collection, you want to make sure that the pins are not scrappers. Again, scrappers are fake pins. They're pretty easy to see what's a fake pin and what's a real pin, but some of the out there are really, really good scrappers, so you want to make sure that you don't get a fake pin when you're out there. If you have any questions, there's a lot of resources on Facebook that I use, that I just email them to some of my pin collector friends, say, hey, what do you think? And they'll say, yeah, it looks fake, it looks real, and they'll explain why. There's actually one group on Facebook called Scammers and Scrappers, so if you want to search for that, you post a picture of the pin up there, and people will let you know that looks fake because, or this is my real one. That's the best way to tell if someone has an actual pin, and then you look at that pin side by side and you can see that there's a difference. But if you're lucky enough to buy some collections, I bought in collections for $100. I bought in collections for a little bit more than $1,000. You get a lot of pins. A lot of them are older pins that people inherit, or people are just getting out of the pin game and they're no longer interested in the pins, so you just buy their entire collection. Go through it, see what you're going to get. Some of them I put on my board, and some of them I just use my trader. So that's the best way to get any pins, is to buy collections or buy on Shop Disney, or, like I said, trade. Go to Artland, go to Pulse Gallery, Pink a la Mode, Box Lunch, all those different sites. You can accumulate pins that you like, and you can get a good source of traders. Once you get traders, you can start attending meets and shows and just trade on Facebook. There's a lot of good trading sites out there, and one of my next videos, I'm going to go over some of the trading sites out there and the best way to do trades online and make sure that you don't get burned. So until my next video, we'll be in the parks next week, so I will have a video from the parks, just a little bit of footage of us in the parks and me buying pins. But until my next video, stay safe and keep on trading. Thank you.